Welcome to the world debut of the new Explorer. This is the 2025 Ford Explorer, and in this video I'm going to show you all the way around it, inside and out, what has changed, the good, and maybe something that's surprised me at least. But let's start taking a look at the new Explorer, and it's a super important vehicle, not just for Ford, but I would wager just for American culture, right? It first came on the scene in 1990, technically as a 1991 model. It's been built in the US, near Chicago, and they've sold almost about 8 million of these over the last 34 years, and 3.2 million of these are still on the road. I personally have never owned an Explorer, but I've had many friends who have, and it truly is an American icon in my view. So it's very important for Ford, as they're refreshing it and adding new technology to it, to be very measured, I think. And this is a refresh. So this is not an all-new vehicle, I would say, because basically the chassis, the powertrains remain mostly the same, but the styling has been updated. So on the rear, you get kind of the line that goes across the tailgate with these nice gradations and Explorer spelled out. And this is the one you're looking at here is the ST line. And Ford also has updated the trim level lineup. So they used to have the Explorer Base, XLT. They had also King Range, Limited, Platinum. They had ST line, and also the Timberline. So they had a tremendous lineup. They've simplified it now. Let's look at the front just a little bit more, and then the big story is inside. I want to show you that as well, and also when it's going to be available, and of course pricing. I'll be able to tell you a little bit about that as well. The front they updated. You can see slightly wider grille, new headlamps. Every new Explorer for 2025 will have a LED signature, but the lamps may differ just slightly. There is a slightly wider front end with additional air curtain, or larger air curtain, I should say, on the side. And this is their Performance Sporty Edition. So ST line or ST are their high performance models. And I've actually had an ST, the previous iteration of it, on a drag strip, and I can tell you that twin turbo V6 with 400 horsepower is really a gem to drive, even in stock form from Ford. The ST line and the base engine is still a 2.3 liter, 300 horsepower, 4-cylinder, turbocharged 4-cylinder that has 310 pound-feet of torque. And they remapped the 10-speed automatic transmission just for this latest iteration. Rear-wheel drive, it's still rear-based, so really kind of a more traditional outline and layout of this particular Explorer. But of course, all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive is available. Now let me open the door for you and show you inside. I think this is, let me close this door. And of course, I'm wearing little booties on my feet because we're here at the world headquarters for Ford in Michigan, in Dearborn. And this is kind of a historic area, and the white floor. But this is they redesigned the interior in a big way. First of all, you can see the dash has been changed. Materials are new. They have at least 4 different levels or styles of interiors, and then slight color variations throughout. So what I want to point to first is this new design. So the current or the previous Explorer had more of a vertical screen orientation. Now they went horizontal. I really love this. This looks really integrated. You might be saying, wait a minute, this is just an iPad that's been pasted up here. I disagree. I think this screen has to be up high because as I'm driving, I'm looking out into the world, and this screen, it helps that it's a little bit higher in my view, but it's still not too high, so it's not blocking my view of the outside. Every new Explorer is going to have this digital cluster. They're calling it the Ford Digital Experience now. So the marketing name has changed for the system, and it's really neat, actually, because you can do several different things just natively. So for example, seats, you could move the seat around. There's a massaging function as well for the passenger or the driver. Your climate control is down here, so you can enable and change it. You have some hard buttons, not too many. Your camera system, your traction control, parking, start stop for the engine, volume knob is still here. But a lot of the features are actually built in. And you can see they're expanding their available technology set, and now you can have games and YouTube. So I can watch TFL car, TFL truck right there. I can also play games. For example, one of the games that's here in stationary mode, so you're not supposed to use it while driving. So it's only enabled when you're parked. You could actually have a game controller, and well, I think it would be more appropriate if we chose a Mustang. You can actually play a little game as you're sitting and waiting. These are family vehicles, of course, 3-row, and that's very, very important. And every new Explorer that starts with the Active now, Explorer Active, every new Explorer will have this digital screen and also the digital gauge cluster that's in the center. This is a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, and the center screen is 13.2 inches. You can have your maps, of course, here, right there in the center, your speed and all your vital information right in one place. So you could have your musical experience in the center and still have navigation right here in front of you. Lots of controls here as well. And there's a big, huge change. Do you see this little box? This little box right there. For the first time ever for the Explorer, Blue Cruise hands-free driving is going to be available on ST line, ST, and Platinum models. So not the base Explorer, but as soon as you start to option it up, on pre-mapped highways, it's hands-off, feet-off driving, but eyes on. And this sensor is monitoring your eyes. And so if you look away, well, I haven't tried the Explorer system yet, but I've driven with some other Blue Cruise 1.2 systems. It really wants you eyes on the road, so you can't look away for very long at all. But it will drive pretty smoothly. They've improved that system. Right here, you have a new design. Of course, red stitching. You have wireless charging, another place for the phone, USB-C ports. There's a little cubby. There's USB-C, USB ports, and 12 volt. So there's plenty. This is a pre-production model. There's plenty of charging options and cubbies, and this is very deep. This is your transmission controller and drive mode selector, and of course parking brake. So I kind of like how simple this is. I'm getting used to this dial. They've used this before for the transmission. There's also drive modes, including sport and tow haul and eco. There's animations right there. And they said that towing is very important for Explorer customers, according to Ford. And the new Explorer will tow up to 5,000 pounds. There's also little Easter eggs. You can kind of tell the little mountains and generations of the Explorer down here. This is basically the latest update or refresh of the 6th generation. So I would call it 6.5. Let's get in the back. Oh, by the way, there's other Easter eggs on the side. 1 second. I'm just about 6'3". There is some additional lights mounted here and the panoramic sunroof, but I'm super comfy. This seat is almost all the way back. By the way, this interior may not be fully production, so if there's some smooth parts in production, they'll change that. I have my temperature controls, heated seats, and climate control, including a 150 watt, 110 volt outlet here. So if you want to plug in extra devices, laptops, game consoles, something else. Of course, Wi-Fi connectivity is still there. And like I said, they've expanded their technology in a big way. Third row is right there. It's kind of smallish on the leg space, if you can kind of tell. I'm just over 6'3", or about 6'3", so I'm a tall dude. And so my knees are kind of high. So even though there's some foot space and there's some leg space, I feel like I'm still sitting a little bit with my knees up high. So definitely for smaller adults or children, this would be a really, really great place. I have cup holders. So pardon all the wires, this is for the lights. USB-Cs and little cubbies. So there's a lot of usability back here. Just don't expect it to be an Expedition. You know, they're full-size truck-based SUV. This is a very competitive segment. Of course, 3-row, large crossover SUV segment is super hot. I used to call it mid-size because I think of like the Expedition as the full-size or large SUV, but there are vehicles like the Toyota Highlander and now the new Grand Highlander, which is a little bit larger. There is, of course, the Kia Telluride. There is also the Jeep Grand Cherokee and Grand Cherokee L, because Grand Cherokee L has full 3 rows as well. And Ford Explorer was one of the best-selling vehicles, like I said in the beginning, of this segment. There were years where they were selling up to 430,000 Explorers a year. In 2023, they sold about 187,000 Explorers, which is still right near the top of the segment, plus or minus. Yes, if you combine all the Toyota Highlander sales, that's a little bit more. If you combine all the Jeep sales, that's a little bit more. So like I said, they simplified the trim level structure. It starts with the Active. The base price is $41,220. So that's quite a bit more than the outgoing 2024 Explorer by about $2,500 by $3,000 if you're looking at pricing including destination. So why is that? Well, partially it's a new redesign, but also they added a lot more standard features, like I was saying. Exterior styling, of course, changed. LED lights, signature lights, digital experience is in every new Explorer, and on and on and on. So they've added standard equipment into this, including adaptive cruise is standard, some front collision avoidance braking, automatic braking is standard. Yes, the price has increased, but Ford tells me that that's where most customers were already are with options before they were near this price anyways. So, of course, you can load it up and more and more and more. You can configure them now. So you can start ordering your Explorer right now. Deliveries will begin in the second quarter of 2024. So Q2 2024, you'll be able to get your hands on one of these babies. By the way, the wheels are new. This is the new ST line or ST wheel. And of course, the full ST version will have 400 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. So the powertrains haven't changed. Performance brakes are still here. The Explorer Hybrid will be available for commercial customers like police interceptors, according to Ford. But the Hybrid, at least for now, is not going to be available for private sale. Also, there is no Timberline edition, the off-road edition, but they teased an image that shows a beefy all-terrain tire, which I think means it kind of looks like a Tremor edition, because in their truck space, they have Tremor as their off-road versions of vehicles. And Timberline has been their Expedition and Explorer off-road versions. So they haven't said that. That's coming a little bit later this year. Exactly what it will be and what capability it will have and what the name will be. But the off-road version of the Explorer is coming. And of course, it does have a hitch, like I said, 5,000 pounds of towing. But the brake controller, you will have to add yourself. I do not see an integrated brake controller on any of these models. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for joining me for the world debut. And check out everything automotive at alltfl.com in one place. Thanks.